first question, I think, is logically, what application in Afghanistan can we make of the lessons we learned in Iraq?
Well, you put your finger on a hugely important issue, and this is the whole idea of how do you use lessons of history. And the answer is, of course, very carefully, because lessons of history can obfuscate as well as illuminate. And the fact is that Afghanistan is very, very different from Iraq. There are many lessons that we learned in Iraq that are indeed applicable if applied with real care and a granular appreciation for local circumstances. All counterinsurgencies are local, and you have to do this by village by village, valley by valley. The core counterinsurgency guidance actually that we developed for Iraq has applicability, but only if and only applied with a great care to understand the circumstances in which those lessons indeed are going to be applied.
We know you're trying really hard to avoid civilian casualties right now. I'm wondering if you can really win a war that way and if it's going to cost more American lives.
Well, you can and you have to. Again, you cannot have tactical successes that are strategic defeats. We used to have a saying in Iraq. I used to challenge our forces to say, will this operation take more bad guys off the battlefield than it creates by the way it is conducted? And that's the test that is here. Now, it's very difficult to ensure that that intent is clearly understood by our troopers. It is something we definitely did in Iraq. We worked that very hard. General McChrystal and his team have refined the tactical directive. It was one of the big ideas that they had there. And again, they're working very hard to ensure that those at ground level implement it in a proper fashion so that we never deny something. If they're decisively engaged, we're going to do whatever it takes to ensure that they can extricate themselves or do what's necessary. This is definitely going to get harder before it gets easier. This is going to be a tough year when you do take the fight to the enemy, and we do have to do that. We do have to take away the sanctuaries and safe havens that the Taliban and the other elements of the extremist syndicate have been able to establish. And they will fight back, as they already are. And so just as in Iraq, when we took the fight to the enemy there with the surge, to secure the people, you have to move into their neighborhoods. And we did just that, but we had to fight to do that, and we will have to fight to do that in Afghanistan as well. As we do all of that, we have to remember why we are in Afghanistan. We're there because of 9/11. That's where it was planned, in Kandahar. Initial training of the attackers was in eastern Afghanistan before they went to Germany and then on to U.S. flight schools. And we cannot allow that country to again become a sanctuary for transnational extremists like Al-Qaeda.